Hi, friends. I cannot believe we're sitting here with you. We're in Spain. We're in Spain.
We are.
Feel like I haven't recorded a podcast episode in forever. It's not really true, but I do feel like, is this how this works? Like, hello? I am really excited to be sitting here with the one and only Carl Wilson. Carl Wilson.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Girls Night.
Happy to be here.
For women who haven't gotten to meet you yet, can you tell us who you are, what you do? And I feel like the fun fact might be a little bit about...
Have moved to Spain 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's probably...
Yeah, that's probably a fun fact for a while.
Yeah, we'll let you off the hook.
My name is Carl. I'm Stephanie's husband and father to her children. I am a brand strategist, but that's not... I coach people on how to talk about what they do well and in a way that's exciting and in a way that makes people love what they do, which is really fun. I also coach a lot of small business owners and then currently I'm a part-time childcare provider, daycare operator.
We go with professional, but we're totally not professional.
Spanish tutor to 2 3.5-year-olds.
Private chef.
Maybe the world's most unappreciated chef.
Yeah, really picky, really limited palates.
That's great.
Janitor,
stroller pusher extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Navigating all the cobblestones and windy, tiny streets and half sidewalks here in Spain. Yep.
Yeah. I have to give you guys context before we dive in. So it is 10 o'clock at night.
100%.
We have had the longest day, which is basically kind of how days have gone. We'll catch you up. We sound exhausted and a little cranky. I don't feel like we are definitely exhausted.
This is just my normal voice. I'm not cranky at all.
Well, okay, we'll catch you guys up. So to catch up, Carl, I have a whole list of questions that are from my emails, from DMs, from women I've talked to who are like, I'm coming, either I've been with you through this story up until now, what's next? Or there are a few who are like, wait, where are you? Like, are you coming home?
Yep.
So
no.
I'm going to ask these questions like they're like they came to me.
Okay, great.
So the first one is, where are you living now?
We are living in Granada, Spain. So southern Spain, Andalusia, if you will. About a half an hour, 40 minutes from the southern coast of Spain.
Yep.
In the mountains, kind of. People don't know there are mountains in Spain, but there are.
Yep.
And in a few months, there'll be snow on those mountains.
Mm-hmm. It's this beautiful city. It's small, but not too small. It's big enough that like we could spend our whole life trying to go to all the delicious restaurants and like never make it to all of them. But the way that I describe it is like, it looks like Tuscany and what you, like classic Spain, what you just imagine, like quintessential Spain, and like maybe Morocco had a baby.
Yeah.
And that is Granada.
Yeah, it's a really diverse city with people kind of from all over. There's a large kind of Arab influence here because of the history of the city and who was here in southern Spain. And it's a big tourist destination because of that. There's a big castle up on the hill called the Alhambra that a lot of people come and visit here in Spain. And it is a really unique city kind of anywhere, but unique to us for sure. And we've really, I think the more we're here, the more we enjoy it, the more we like it.
Yeah. I feel like we should mention who we're here with, because that's a really unique detail. We moved with one of my very best friends, Kelsey, who, if you've read my book, The Lipstick Gospel, which a lot of you have, do you know it's the 10-year anniversary this year?
I figured. I couldn't do that math because
it came out the year we got married, and we just had our 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
So crazy. So anyway, if you read my book, The Lipstick Gospel, it's the story of how my whole life changed while I was studying abroad in college. And it's the reason, it's the story behind why I love Spain so much. But a key character in that story was Kelsey. And Kelsey and I, ever since we studied abroad, have dreamed of coming back because we love it here so much. And so to be here with you and our girls and my best friend and her husband and her 2 sons and their dog, Buckley, is so like, I have to just pinch myself basically every day.
It's a cool thing. And I think we kind of take it for granted because we're like, the whole time we thought about coming here, it's been with them. Mm-hmm. And so I think it sometimes gets lost that all of the rest of this stuff is new, and we just kind of throw them in the fact that we're here together into it all together. But I was just talking to somebody about it and they go, that's really cool and unique and special. And I had to stop and like, it is. Yeah. It really, I think we would be a lot more lonely. Yeah. We'd be a lot more isolated, feel a lot more isolated, and maybe not quite as hopeful or optimistic if they were not here.
Yeah. There's something that I think about in friendships all the time that you just need different kinds of friends. You know, there's a reason it's called a support system. You need a network, you need a web. But it's really special when one friendship has several different aspects to it. Like, you know how sometimes you have those friendships where you can go really deep and you're like, you just, every time you talk to them, you go like as deep as possible, but you don't really laugh together, or vice versa. I feel like Kelsey and Tyler are really unique because we can talk about, you know, the deepest stuff in the world and then also laugh forever. And so I just feel like that combination really helps us not feel lonely because we're having a lot of fun like already. And we have people that really know our hearts. And I think that's helping me tremendously. Well,
it's a good segue in a lot of ways to the next question, which is why did we move? I blame them. I blame them 100%. They moved because they told us to.
Listen, it was not Tyler. I feel like it was
Kelsey.
It was Kelsey. It was me and Kelsey.
That's right.
Yeah, it was me and Kelsey. I was passing Kelsey notes under the table being like, mention Spain again to Carl. Just see what he does. We moved for so many different reasons. And when people would ask us before we left, it depended on the day.
Yeah, it's the thing that I typically tell people is that there wasn't one main thing. It's a lot of small things that kind of all added up to a good decision.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a profound, moment of clarity. I think in the same way, there are a lot of small reasons, and it took a lot of small decisions that eventually added up to a very large decision.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big part of kind of how we made this possible and how we did it is, we just decided to throw it out there and see how long,
the idea
we could
stuck
go.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah. But that combination of, I think that this is good for our kids. I think this is a good thing for us to do for them now, instead of going to typical daycare, all day, every day for years and years until they start kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right. So there was that. There's the same kind of thing for us I think we could benefit from going and trying something different and living life differently and being exposed to all the things that means. And I know that in my life, the times where I have grown and I don't know, evolved the most are when I was the most outside of what was normal and what was typical and what was every day. And this is very much that. I feel that every day, but it's also good. So there's the opportunity to learn Spanish and get better at Spanish, the opportunity to travel together and see a lot of different things. And I think too, the opportunity to just simplify our lives. And it's weird to say that moving to a different continent somehow makes your life simpler, but it did involve us eliminating our cars, eliminating car payments, eliminating car insurance, and all the things and gas and all the things that come along with that, and all of our bills basically we chopped way down.
Yeah,
including all of our stuff. We
probably
got
kept
rid of
a tenth of what we
moved
before.
Here with 5. We checked 5 bags.
And we had one rolling. And we each had a backpack.
Yeah, but we checked We had one carry-on, I guess, that had our stuff.
Yeah, in case
all of our things got lost.
Yeah. And you had your backpack wasn't big, but it was like a little bit bigger. But mine was
like a camping backpack.
Mine was like a school backpack, and the girls were like teeny little backpacks.
There's little stuff, and this is a little bit misleading because we are renting our house out.
Yeah.
In Nashville that has furniture and things like that.
Yeah, we rented it out
so
furnished.
We didn't totally, sell everything, but it's rented and people live there that are not us. And so that's become a whole different thing. And truly the amount of stuff that we got rid of is trucks and trucks and trucks. And I think in that process of doing that and realizing how much stuff we had versus how much stuff we were okay bringing and what we thought, like when we really pared down to, this is what I think I can, is reasonable to take. And this is what's worth it to me to keep and to pack and to carry and to lug from the car to the plane, to the plane, to the taxi, to the train, to the taxi, through the streets, all that stuff. We didn't ship anything.
No.
And so that just filter of how do I remove everything except kind of the essential? And it's not like we moved with 2 pairs of underwear, but a lot of the things that you think you need or that you just accumulate by accident, that's the kind of stuff that we got rid of. And that I think was a big part of this. Again, you don't have to move to another country to do that, but it forced us to do something that we probably wouldn't have done otherwise.
No, and it was so crazy because we are such cleaner outers. We're both firstborn type A, perfectionist. We like things. We both have a touch. I'll speak for myself. I have a touch of anxiety. I think we both have a touch of anxiety, and it organizing things and getting rid of stuff helps us. You should have seen our closets during COVID. That being said, it was shocking to us, totally astounding how much stuff we still had, even after multiple garage sales, even after, we've moved a lot in the last handful of years. So it's not like we've been in the same house for 20 years. But still, just the amount of stuff that we've accumulated, we're like, how is this even possible? And so it really was. It was shocking, a little appalling, and felt really good. It just felt like a really important process to truly, we had to go through everything we owned and decide, does this go? And I wanted, so not only, we do still have our house and it's furnished. So all the furniture that we've collected over the years, we still have that. And we didn't get rid of our most special things. Those are in a box at Carl's parents' house.
There's a couple boxes of things that are important that are stored. But truly, I'm not kidding, truckloads of stuff.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think that really was, when I think about the most practical reason that we are here, this has been at the top of my dream list forever. So we're here because I've been dying to do this. And it's the thing that I have wanted for Christmas forever, never, 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 never. The other thing, though, is that in so many ways with, the cost of childcare and the amount of life that we're trying to cram into 24 hours a day, and the amount of stuff we were taking care of, it felt like our life was running us instead of vice versa. And I think people would say that that's just what it's like to have kids, to have, young kids, to have 2 full-time jobs. This is just life.
Right.
And, it was cool because it was as I was writing Create a Life You Love that we were really asking big questions does it have to be that way?
Do I have to do this?
Yeah. What if it doesn't have to be this way? And we decided actually, the whole premise of the book is you get to decide. And so we were like, well, if we get to decide, we'd like to do this a little differently.
Yeah. The idea that in theory we had this freedom. I think we talked about this last time we did this, but in theory we have this freedom to choose the things that we want to choose and to create the kind of things that exist in our life and remove the things that we don't want. That fell out of our control in the US. And that includes the things that we're surrounded by every day in terms of media and the kind of stuff that's in our brains and in our world. as well as what day-to-day life looked like and what it cost and what we felt like was required or really was required. And so I think it was kind of taking a step back and giving ourselves room to go, okay, what if we remove ourselves from that game, right? And like discover a different set of rules for a while and see what we like, better and how that compares. And again, I think it is just an attempt to simplify a lot of things and in the pursuit of clarity about what we want and what's important to us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that a lot of people are like, okay, remind me how you're doing this. Like, people always ask us, like, did you get a job there? Like, what, like, how are you doing this? How are you affording this? Like, talk to us about the logistics. No, neither of us got a job here.
Right.
We both are still doing our same work. Hello, welcome to Girls Night Podcast. We're still doing our same work because our work does afford us the freedom to travel, and that's in a lot of ways why we picked the work. It was a big piece of the decisions we've made about our career so far is that we wanted the freedom to do something like this. This is just the first time we've really exercised it.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities and very real times in the last handful of years where we said, well, maybe this isn't going to work out the way that we thought, right? Maybe we want to do something different. Maybe we want to go a different direction. Maybe it'd just be easier and we would have more resources, freedom, mental space if we just went and worked for somebody else. If I just went and got a different job or let somebody else handle owning the business and I could just clock in and clock out or whatever, and just take my paycheck and go on my way. And we fought to not do that so that we could continue to have the freedom to choose the things we wanted to choose.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything is a trade-off, and that was one of the trades that we made of like, okay, we'll do this way in the hopes that
someday we get to do something like move to Spain.
Yeah.
So we both still have our businesses. We're working remotely I've always worked remotely, and you have for a large portion of the time too. We are here on crossing our fingers. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
Still
on a digital
in
nomad.
The air.
Yeah, we're currently here on a tourist visa, but hopefully very soon that will turn into a digital nomad visa, which allows us to be here for a couple years. And in terms of affording this, I think I always thought that if you were going to take a big trip, especially with your kids, that you had to save up like, $50,000 or something like that to be able to leave. And I don't even know if that's enough. Like to leave for a year, you had to have all this money set up or set aside. I think because we did trade in so many pieces of our life, like we rented out our house. And so therefore that is an additional stream of income. Like we sold our cars. There definitely have been some setup costs. Like we've been working with a lawyer to help us navigate the visa process, and that costs money, and moving trucks costed money, and just different things like that. There have been some setup costs. Our flights were crazy cheap. They were also kind of stinky, but
we got here.
Like
it was not fun. But we got here.
No, our flights. But just to give you guys context, some of the flights we were looking at were it was going to be $6,000 to get the four of us here, and that's not out of the question. Also, we were getting one-way tickets, but that didn't make it cheaper, which was weird. Yeah. But we did find a random flight, and we got here for our four tickets and all of our bags. We got here for less than $3,000.
Right.
So I just say that because I think that it is really easy to go, well, that must be nice or whatever. And it's no, we're doing our same work. Our bills are actually less here than they were at home for a variety of reasons. So yeah, it's not that we miraculously saved up just this giant
down payment
to be able to do this. We're not on vacation.
True. I think that's the other thing too, that's been kind of what's what have the last few weeks been like, and what does it look like to be here? I think there's a little bit of just not having any context for it. And so when we first moved, didn't have a place to live, right? We were staying in an Airbnb and we didn't have anything and we didn't know. We were trying to figure things out and look for apartments. And so it very much felt like we were on vacation. We knew in theory that we weren't, right? That we knew, some part of our brains knew, but it wasn't real in that way yet, because most of the time, all you know is, I'm in a different place. I must be on vacation. I can go back. And then you don't go back. Mm-hmm. And you don't go back and you don't go back. And the weeks go by. And then we found an apartment. We rented it and it started to become more real. And you move your stuff in and you unpack. And every day you wake up there and start to learn the neighborhood and start to go to the same grocery store. And people maybe start to recognize you, especially us. We kind of stand out because we're super white and blonde. And blonde twins really gets people's attention.
Yeah.
And it just like, at some point, it just kind of dawns on you that we're not on vacation. Uh-huh. And we need to act different. We need to spend differently. Yeah. We need to, we're in it for the long haul, right? It's a marathon, and that's impacted how we've set up our lives. Not every day, we're not going out to see all the sights every day.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to go back to the travel, but since we're on this, I feel like out of the last 5 weeks, we spent 2 of them living in an Airbnb with Kelsey and Tyler and their boys, which was really fun. Yeah. And so that kind of, because everything was so new and we're just trying to get acclimated and get over our jet lag and find food and, whatever, we were doing that and having fun and starting to look for apartments. So that did kind of feel like vacation. But then we really buckled down and started to look at apartments. So we're going to different showings. We're trying to talk to realtors. We're scouring the internet. All 4 of us have our laptops out. The kids are running around like crazy. We're trying to find a place to live. So then it was kind of down to business. And then our Airbnb time ran out, and Kelsey and Tyler had a place to live, but it also was supposed to be super hot. So they traveled for a little bit. We sort of stuck around here and waited for our apartment to be ready. And so we were sort of in this in-between place. I counted, and 3 weeks into us being in Spain, we had slept in 10 different places, I think in 3 weeks. Yeah. Our kids had slept in 10 different places. So that's crazy. But then we finally got into our apartment, and at the same time that we did, we had some friends and family of Kelsey and Tyler's who we also know and love came into town. And so then we actually did we got to play a lot, which was really fun, as we were also, during the day, we were at IKEA trying to find toddler potties and forks and all kinds of different things. Yeah. And then at night we would play with friends. And then, so they left not that long ago. And I feel like in the last 2 weeks, that's when we've been okay,
this is real.
This is real. And so, but how do we do this? And that a lot of the question there has been okay, so we both need to get back to work at some point and make sure the dishes are clean and, kids are taken care of and all kinds of things. So that's been the last couple of weeks.
Well, and a lot of people have been asking what has been easy about the transition, what's been hard. And really the hardest part has nothing to do with being in Spain. It's that we took our kids out of daycare every day to now they're home in summer vacation until they start school in a month. And so we're full-time stay-at-home parents who are also both trying to work full-time jobs and navigate different time zones and all the other things we have to do to get settled here. And so I think that that's a big challenge, has been what do we do with the girls, and how do we keep them entertained and be just summer parents.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Just
happens to be that we're summer parents in a different country.
Yeah, it's our first time doing it. And then also, I feel like the girls have acclimated really well. I feel like they haven't skipped a beat. They haven't been sleeping poorly. They did decide to stop napping. That's a whole thing. But they haven't been sleeping poorly. They haven't been crying. They haven't seemed sad. They haven't, they've been doing so well. Yeah. But I feel like especially, in the last, honestly, I don't know when, if there was a turning point, but I feel like today I very much understand why people call 3-year-olds three-nagers. I very, very much understand that. So not only, so we're full-time parenting like nonstop, no break for months on end while trying to work, while trying to get settled here with two kiddos who it seems like actively decide to be unhelpful sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. That seems like absolutely they decide to be like often to their own detriment, right? Like we'll say, hey, girls, we're about to go have a snack. And if they're feeling like we need a moment of rebellion, we will go get a snack, but we will not like it. Like, okay, but sure thing.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're going to go to the playground. I'll go this time, but I am never going again. Like, okay.
No playground.
No playground after this time. Okay. You tell us.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we are like deep in the thick of it. And so I feel like really a lot of the hardest part of this, like you said, it has nothing to do with Spain. It is that we are like deep in toddler parent land with not a whole lot of reprieve.
Pirates. Absolute pirates they are.
They are stinkers. They're real stinkers.
Anyway, they're also way too smart.
And the best. They're also the best. Yep. Okay, so I want to talk really quick about saying goodbye. Because I know that's, I mean, I hate saying goodbye.
Right.
I hate saying goodbye. How was that for you?
Hard. It's the hardest part. I think we said this before of like, for all the reasons we think this is a great idea, there are a couple reasons why it's really hard, even though we think it's a great idea. And that's mostly about people in relationships that are not here, right? And that are harder because we chose to come here. And so that makes saying goodbye really difficult. And it's glad that we got to spend good time with friends and family. And we'll come back. Like, it's not forever. We know that. But it's still hard for us. And I think it's hard for me too, because I know it's hard for our families. Yeah.
I wept.
Totally.
I cried all the way to the airport when we said goodbye. I think that like, I wanted to pause there just for a second, because I know that when we are making a big decision, it obviously impacts other people. And so we have to decide if it's really hard to make a decision knowing that it's going to negatively impact, or even feel like it's going to negatively impact anybody. But I also know that if we live that way, we miss out on some really important things in our own lives. Like I know, we've both been abroad for different seasons, and like no one was happy about it.
Sure.
But initially, I feel like everyone, it's always hard saying goodbye. But there's so many things that we would have missed out on if we would have.
Yeah, like I said, I think the moments of greatest growth in my life and discovery of myself and the world and other people and God and all kinds of stuff have come in those moments of leaving what was comfortable and leaving what was normal and leaving what was easy that didn't require as much focus, didn't require as much intentionality, didn't make me feel things that I didn't want to feel. And so that doesn't exist there.
Yeah.
And that's the way I kind of described it. It's like, we didn't choose to go to be away from other people. It's just that the opportunity lives here. Right? The opportunity is somewhere else. It's very similar to how I felt when I went to college. I grew up in, central Indiana, and a lot of my friends and people that I loved and cared about were there and went to school still in Indiana. A lot of people go to college in state to be close to friends and family and stuff. And I chose to go to school 8 hours away in a state that I had, never really spent much time in and didn't have any relatives in or anything like that. And because that's where the opportunity was.
He went to Georgia Tech, for anyone who's wondering.
And so, that's where the opportunity was. And it was hard, and it stunk that those people couldn't come with me, and that it took extra effort to be close to people or to go see them and stuff like that. but the same kind of thing. It wasn't for forever. And we're harvesters of stuff, of experiences and of knowledge and of wisdom and of parts of ourselves. And that requires leaving the safety of the village. And I think that this is an example of that, of having to get outside of the village because the things that we need aren't there.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, that's really good. One of the things that I know people have been asking, and I want to answer this if I can. I know that really quickly, we don't have to camp too much on here, but the travel day with the girls.
It's traumatic, and I blocked it out, and it's not, no one cares.
No. I'm going back because I was very intimidated to sit on a plane with 2 3-year-olds for 8 hours. And I will say, like, it really wasn't that bad.
We made it.
It really wasn't that
bad.
We
survived.
Our kids did not nap on the whole flight, which I don't. Did. Quinn slept for like an hour. Annie somehow did not sleep.
Wide awake.
Yeah. But even so, like, I thought it was going to be like, I am ready to like poke my eyes out. And it wasn't that bad.
We made it.
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I don't feel like I'm not looking forward to doing another trip like that to go somewhere for a week. Like, that's not long. The juice isn't worth the squeeze for me with that. But if that's the thing holding you back, don't let that let that hold you back. So, okay, I know that when people move abroad, like one of the biggest questions I always ask is like, how did you guys know what to do? Like, you're in a new country. How are you figuring out transportation and phone plans and monies and banks and visas and getting groceries and like knowing what food is? And like, how has that been for you?
It's been really interesting. And I think that the answer is that you don't. But that's true too. Like,
you don't know what to do.
Yeah, not at first. But then when you have to figure it out, you find ways to figure it out. And whatever it is, somebody's done it before.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier. There's more resources. There's more access to information and people and the ability to do it than there ever has been. So whether it's, standing in the phone store, typing stuff into Google Translate so you can get the point across, or understand what somebody's trying to tell you about your phone plan, to finding somebody online who's done it before, or honestly, like, there are other people here who are in the same spot. There are other people here who have moved here from somewhere else who aren't great yet at speaking the language, may never be, and they do it. They get around. They figure it out. Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah.
You find helpers, honestly. There was a day that we were walking down the street and cobblestone, whatever street, and it was super hot. And I think the girls were about to lose their minds because it was like they hadn't had a snack or something. They really wanted ice cream, probably. And we looked down and like a part of our stroller has fallen off and our stroller is like sideways, super sad and like melting. And it was like a screw, like a bolt had come loose and just like, so now our left side of the stroller is like all saggy. And
have we mentioned we don't have a car?
Right.
Like, this is our minivan.
We're walking around everywhere. Yeah. Annie's about to like fall out on the sidewalk. And so we're like, I don't know what to do. Where do we go? I don't have any tools. I don't know how to ask for tools. I don't know how to find anything. And so we just looked up like, where's a hardware store? And I'm not kidding. This was like a closet in a row of like shops. It was the size of like a closet that was stuffed with anything you can imagine. All the stuff that we're talking about that was like in our garage that we just accumulated over and over and over again. This guy had been accumulating for like 4 decades.
And it was like for sale.
Like, yes. Somehow. And that was like the hardware store is like, oh, you need some one random size screw? It's over here under this rabbit's foot that I've been saving since 1978, which is next to this one adapter for this single camera that's no longer made that I have just in case. Like, these guys are so the ultimate, well, I should probably save that for something. Like, that's this hardware store.
Yeah.
And so we pull up and you walk inside and you said,
I had to Google.
Like, you just held up the stroller and said, broken.
That's roto.
Yeah. And the guy goes, okay. And he takes a look and he goes back and he finds the screw and he comes and he fixes it. And
he charged me €1.
€1 to put in this little screw. And that was a moment to me where it was like, okay, this was going back to that thing of like, what rules are we playing by and how do you have to do things, where I realized you find people to help you with the things that you need. And that they're willing to, honestly. And so that's how we've been doing these things, is like, you find people who can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that's been really cool for me is, so I started my first time in Spain, I was 15,
right.
Which I think I've shared a picture. I have a picture of it. So if I haven't shared it, I'll share it again. We'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, the first time I came to Spain, I was 15. I actually came to Granada, although I don't remember very much of it, I think.
First time I came to Spain, I came to Granada.
A lot of people come, they stay for a day, they see the Alhambra, which is amazing, but then you don't see the rest of the city. So it was like, I think I've been here a couple of times, but I just didn't really remember much of it. But so the first time I came to Spain, I was 15, and then 16, and then maybe 21, and then...
I think I was 19.
You were 19?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
No, probably not even. I was probably only 18.
So like we've been here a couple times, and I have memories of being in like a coffee shop and feeling really confused about how it works, or like everyone's going up to the counter to order a coffee, and I don't understand how it works, and I don't understand what people are telling me, and I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling lost, and like I think that's how I thought I would feel here, because I have some memories of that, and I haven't felt that way. I've felt really capable and strong and not afraid. And either I know what to do, or I'm very confident that I can easily figure out what to do. And I was like, why is that? Like, why is this so much easier than it's been in the past? I'm like, okay, well, one, because some time has passed. Like, sure. I'm older than I was last time I was here. Yeah. And I think that is just a cool reminder that we are growing. Like, you are growing. You're older and wiser and smarter and more capable today than you were a year ago. Mm-hmm. But then the other thing is, I've lived a lot of life since I was here last time. Like, we both traveled around the world, so places that were much more confusing than Spain.
Yes.
And we've also, had kids, and we've done different hard things in between. Last time I was here, we were here, and this time. And so we've built up some strength that I just didn't know. Yeah. Like, I didn't know to look for that until I realized, like, oh, this doesn't feel that scary or that hard.
There's like your what's like the worst that can happen meter kind of changes and evolves. Yeah. And so, like, there are things for sure where you're like a little intimidated because you're not really sure how it works, or confusing or hard, or you look stupid because or you say the wrong thing. And that's been one of the things that's great. It's like, Kelsey's like, I don't know his no, but I just give it a shot. Yeah. And like, that's great. Yeah. You're going to get it wrong, but you're like, trying, and you can't get better and you can't figure it out until you try. I had to buy a pillow today, went into the store, and doing okay, made it fine. I check out, and the lady's trying to explain something to me, and she's like really trying hard. And I just am not getting it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. And I'm pretty sure that eventually what she ended up dumbing down everything to say to me was, if you sleep bad tonight, bring this back. Great. I will do that. But that's not how she said it the first or second or third or fourth time. But number 5 was the charm. And so we just worked it out together, and we figured it out. And I looked stupid, but like, I got my pillow and it's fine. We can just figure it out. And next time I'll know that some combination of, I've heard this before, I think. I can bring this pillow back. Cool.
I've been working the last couple of days with plumbers. Yeah. Because we've had some, not our fault, we didn't do anything gross.
Nope.
Like plumbing issues.
A lot of things about a lot of the day-to-day adjustment is adjusting to a world that is hundreds of years older than the United States, right? Like in infrastructure and buildings and way of life and doing things. And like, these really old buildings under really old streets next to really old buildings. And so sometimes the plumbing is weird. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the road is weird, or sometimes the, thing isn't where you expect it to be. And that, like, it's part of the charm.
But the thing is that I kind of thought that because of that, like, well, okay, things are different here. Or like, yeah, I don't know how old this building is. Maybe it's really, really old. Maybe we had just the absolute stinkiest bathroom. Just there was nothing we could do about it. It was like, it's fine. It was very stinky. And so I thought like, okay, is this one of those like character building things where we just have these stinkiest bathrooms? And like the answer is no. The answer is, of course, there are plumbers here in Spain that absolutely know exactly what to do and who also think it smells bad and who don't want you to live in a place that smells bad. And so like that was also, it was like, yeah, okay, the plumbing's a little different. But like also people are like, yeah, that smells terrible. We should fix that.
We should fix that.
Yeah, we'll fix it for you.
So good. We have a totally fixed, not stinky bathroom now.
Yeah, and I learned a lot of
plumbing vocab.
Plumbing vocab. Yep. So one thing that I want to ask is, how is this is probably the longest you and I have sat down to reflect together. I feel like this happened once the girls were born. We sat down in a closet and we're like, so how you doing? And we recorded it.
I think that's true.
How's marriage going in the midst of this giant transition?
I think that it is going really well because neither of us has killed the other one. So that's a win. I also think that sometimes, like the time, if you've ever been whitewater rafting, the time to like high five and give hugs is not when you're like in the middle of the rapids. And so when like we're pretty close. Like now is not a bad time to be like, whew, like we did it. But for a while there, we're just in the middle of the rapids and you just like put your head down and you paddle and try not to hit each other in the face. Yeah. And that's like what a decent amount of the past few weeks were. And that's okay. That's like, that's part of it. People choose to go whitewater rafting. We chose to come here. Yeah. And that's part of what it costs is that like, it's some hard work.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is I think, so we boarded our flight on our 10-year anniversary, which was a very, very like not, personal and romantic and restful way to spend it, but also like really cool.
And we didn't choose it on purpose. It just coincidentally when the flight was.
And we were like, oh my gosh, this is our 10-year anniversary. So I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like a romantic dinner or anything. But
I think we ate like.
I know. I was just thinking that we had some like weird plain food. Yeah. I'm like still laughing in my head. Okay, focus, Stephanie. When we first got married, I felt like we needed to be our most connected, fun, kind, warm, affectionate, add more positive words selves all the time. And if we weren't, we needed to like fix something. And I think that what I've learned over 10 years is that you have different seasons that are about different things. And like being your, cutest, sweetest self when you're whitewater rafting, like doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like there's a time for that, but it's not right then. And so I would say like, and that's really okay. There's a time for all kinds of things. So yeah, like have the last 5 weeks been like the most romantic, like lovey-dovey of our lives? Like, no, it hasn't been about us.
Yeah.
We've been working hard together to build something cool, which is also a different way to show and experience like real love.
Yeah.
But I think I would have had a hard time recognizing that, and I would have been like, oh, Carl and I have like been arguing a little more lately, over the last 5 weeks. Well, like, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. You don't want to be in that place forever, but learning to be comfortable and seeing like that you're both just got your head down paddling can actually be a really good thing.
Yeah.
And I think that we're getting to that point where it starts to feel a little bit more like,
even out.
Yeah.
And I like too that like what you said about the kind of calm between the rapids that I do feel like we're getting to that and we get to be like, look what we did.
Totally.
And just in the same way that so many of the best parts of our own individual lives have happened when we've been out of our comfort zone and working really hard on something and like, having a hard time in some ways. That's also true for us together. That like the best things that we've made together, the best parts of our relationship haven't come from just like super romantic dates. They've come from some rapids. And then in the middle getting to go, oh my gosh, look what we did together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk about this in the marriage course that we haven't gotten to teach in a while, but I think we're going to soon.
Coming back to a computer near you.
One of the things that we say a lot is, why do you love me today?
Yeah.
We ask the other one, why do you love me today? And I don't know how that started. We've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think it's just instead of waiting for like, if you need some affirmation or you want to be seen or you want to make some eye contact and connect and like instead of waiting for that moment to just materialize or not and being frustrated that it didn't, like just saying, hey, like, can you tell me why you love me today? I would really love that. And it can be like the number one reason, or it can be just something I saw you do today that meant a lot to me. Yeah. So, and again, yeah, we talk more about that. I think we tell more about it in the course, but that's the quick version. So, Carl Wilson, why do you love me today?
Today, I love you because I know what a challenge this, like moving here and trying to figure out and coordinate the scheduling of our day-to-day lives has been. And that we're still doing the work that we were trying to do before, but that looks different for us. I have business partners and I have clients and I have meetings and I have obligations and I have people who I've committed certain things to. And so I have less flexibility in what my day can look like and how much control I have over my day than you do. And so in this time of transition and this kind of up and down, that's meant like you having to shoulder a lot of the in-between for taking care of the girls and figuring the things out and just like coordinating stuff. And so I retroactively and still love you for doing all of that stuff and doing it so like, I don't know, well, it's just like a blanket over all of the whole thing. But also then we had a conversation the other day of like, but now it's time for me to like get back into doing work and doing this stuff. And so we said, okay, this is what that's going to look like. I'll watch the girls like during this time. I can carve out that time. I could do that. And you go work, and the passion and like enthusiasm that you've put into already like diving in and being like, I'm excited to do this and I've gotten really good stuff done. I love that because for two reasons. And this is the reason why I love you, is that one is that I know how much doing the work that you do like gives you life. And it's important to me that you have that. And because when you do that and you have a like passion for it and that enthusiasm for it and you're pursuing this, it makes me feel like we're paddling together. Right? Like that I'm not just in the back of the boat, like, and you're up there like hanging out. We're both paddling together. And I think that that's what the kind of marriage like that we signed up for is one where it's not one person in the back doing all the paddling and the other person sits up the front. There are going to be times when we're both head down paddling really hard, but also when we stop and look at where we are and what we've come through and do the high five, we've ended up at a really cool place. We both enjoy all the parts of it. And so that was a way longer answer than I expected. but yeah, it's because we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of just fermenting.
Do you want to know why I love you today?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of similar. You have been working really, really, really hard, just for a really long time, like maybe forever. But you really have been. And especially, I mean, to prepare to come here, the amount of sleep you lost, and since being here to get work done and to be there for your clients and your team and to try to not miss a beat, which is a really important thing for us to be able to be here. We can't be here if we both screw up our jobs too bad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And so I just you've done a really good job. You've jumped in, you've done it in imperfect circumstances and imperfect offices, and you've done it with a positive attitude. And then even at the end of the day, after you've worked so hard, or at the beginning of the day when you didn't get a whole lot of sleep the night before, you jumped in with the girls and been this bright spot for them that's fun and loving and kind and intentional with the way that you care for them and talk to them. And you just have been the super dad that you always are, which is just really impressive considering how much other stuff is pulling at you, and how little sleep you've gotten lately. The cool thing about being in a rapid is it's not the most connected romantic moment of your marriage, but you look over and you go, I look over and I go, man, I really, really like you. And I really, really love you. And thank God you're in the boat with me, because we just would absolutely get lost if it was just me in here.
It's true.
So yeah, I'm just super grateful for you.
Good.
So thanks for hanging out on our date, you guys. It really is so funny, doing an episode right after the girls were born. It was just this moment for us to get to reflect, and I feel like this is the same.
Yeah.
So what's next? What do we have coming up next in this transition? What are we doing in the next month or so? What's kind of the next piece of the story?
Yeah, I mean, I think now is solidifying that this is real life, right? That's kind of what we talked about. We talked about maybe going and doing something before the girls start school in a month and stuff like that. But honestly, a lot of it is trying to help them understand that this is normal and this is real life. And I think they're doing a better job of that than us. But they're about to be thrown into a situation that's totally brand new to them, of going to school in a country where they don't speak the main language, and whole new kids, and a whole new scenario. And I'm really glad that they have each other. But if we can do some things in the meantime to help them feel normal and settled, and then I think that that's a big part of what the next 2 weeks are about. And then after that, then it's, continuing to go, right now it's really hot. And a lot of people are on vacation because it's so hot. And so pretty soon we're going to get into a little bit cooler weather, hopefully. And people will start coming back and things will open up, and we'll continue to explore and do all the things and figure out what life looks like here.
Yeah. We do have a long bucket list for traveling.
Yeah.
Of other places in Europe that we want to go. I mean, we don't even really have a bucket list. We're just yes, please.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing, is that you discover there's all kinds of places.
More and more and more, please. I'd like to go to all the places.
Yeah. Whatever I won't say a place because it'll be, somebody will live in that place and it'll be a bad thing. But pick a random city in Midwest US, and the equivalent of that here is some beautiful beach town in southern France or whatever. There's just a lot of options.
The further you dig, the more you go, oh my gosh,
we could go there for a weekend, or we could go there. It's not, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been trying to balance that with also wanting to get ourselves set up and the girls set up. And but pretty soon here we'll hit the road and kind of figure out a balance that way of exploring, but also being here and making it feel like home.
I think that's a big part of it, is that like we want it to actually feel like we live here. We want to make friends here. We want to be part of the community that's here and in the girls' school and stuff like that. And so there is a mix of, we want to go and see all these places and do the activities. But it's important to me, I think, that it feels like we've invested time in being here too.
Mm-hmm. Last question, how's your Spanish?
See.
Are you feeling a little rough after the pillow incident?
Yeah, a little bit. My confidence is not high. I keep saying that the times where I feel the most inadequate are when we take the girls to the playground and there's like another 5-year-old who's like trying to explain to me what just happened, or the like conflict with the swing, and I have no idea. And because there's no give in their end of the conversation.
Yeah.
So like they know one way to say it, and I'm going to keep doing it this way, and you're eventually going to get it because you're a grown-up. There's no world where a grown-up doesn't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
But there is, and it's me. And I don't understand what they're trying to tell me about the ball or the thing. And but they're so adamant about it. And it's in those moments where I really need to practice more.
Mm-hmm.
My playground vocabulary is insufficient.
Yeah. I feel like I have good days and bad days. Overall, I feel like my Spanish is as good as it's ever been, which is really pretty cool. Because
probably true for me too, and that's depressing. But sorry, Senora Harder.
We haven't studied. I came in with good Spanish, but I want my Spanish to be perfect, and I want it to be so good. I want to sneakily pass as a local.
I do. That's kind of my goal, is for people to be, because people can tell that, I think somehow, in the same way you can kind of, I don't know, tell that we're not from here.
Uh-huh.
But I would like for people to be pleasantly surprised.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I don't have to pretend that I'm a native, but oh.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone did tell me I speak very good Spanish though, so better than Stephanie.
It's because he's better at faking the accent.
Better at doing a genuine accent.
Jeez. This is so insulting. It's so terrible. Still bad.
I'm also a better salsa dancer.
Okay. Here's where we're finishing up. So I've spent my whole life taking, I've been a dancer since I could walk. My entire life has been dedicated to dance. I did dance all the way through school, high school, competed, won titles. It was my thing. Carl and I go on one date to a salsa lesson in Nashville. In Nashville? Were we in Nashville? Atlanta? I don't know.
I think it was in Atlanta. It's before we got married.
We did one date, and we're learning the steps, and it's this fun date. And I think I'm doing pretty well because I am so trained. And the teacher comes over and she grabs my hips and she said, "Oh, your hips are so tight. You need to move your hips more like this. You need to be more loose, more like him."
More like him. I am the him.
You are the him. I cannot. And then, the other day we're at a restaurant and someone hears him say 3 words with
a pretty full sentence, I'm sure.
With a pretty solid Spanish accent. And despite the fact that I have a minor in Spanish and took it for my entire life and have studied abroad in Spain before, she looks at him and says, "Your Spanish is so good."
It is. See.
So rude. It's so rude. Oh, man. Okay, friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being on this journey with us. And I hope that through hearing about our adventures and misadventures and the imperfect way that we're figuring this out, that I think we could just use more reminders or more examples in our lives of people doing things differently. I think it helps us be more creative with our lives and realize the rules aren't as hard and fast as I thought they were. And so really that's my hope in sharing the beauty of this experience and also the trickiness of this experience is to be you know what? There are all kinds of different ways to live a life. And as I'm finding what works for us in this next season, I hope you find what works for you in this next season too. And I will be cheering you on through all of it.
Adios. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.